Disney legend Mike Surrey is my guest on episode 18 of the Shaffer Creative Podcast. Shaffer Creative is a product of my family of 6, all of us pursuing careers in film or the arts. This is our place to showcase our art, document our growth, and share what we learned. We hope you'll find value in learning from our artistic convictions, our mistakes and successes, and the guidance we share as a family. In the Conversations with Creatives edition, I invite my friends, colleagues, and heroes to talk about their craft, their education, and professional life in their art. I'm animation director Todd Shaffer, the father and your host on this edition of the Shaffer Creative Podcast. You can now support the Shaffer Creative Podcast through Patreon, with either a one-time gift or a recurring monthly pledge. Your support will help us to cover our operating costs and allow us to upgrade our equipment and online services to provide a better quality listening experience. Find the Patreon links on our website at shaffercreative.studio or go to patreon.com/Shaffer Creative. Mike Surrey is perhaps best known for his work as supervising animator for Timon on Lion King. He also supervised the animation for Clopin in Huntchback, Turk in Tarzan, Orc in Atlantis, Buck on Home on the Range, and Ray on The Princess and the Frog. Mike also worked on Aladdin and Tangled, and currently he's working as a story artist at DreamWorks. In this first part of my conversation with Mike, we talk about his development as an animator, his education at Sheridan, and his first attempts to find work at the big studios, and a surprising phone call from Disney Animation in LA. And what's surprising is that Mike's journey to animation legend was full of twists and turns and cliffhangers. Mike and I met at a coffee shop in Burbank. Tell me about your childhood when you got into art and your influences.
My first influence in art would probably be my oldest brother, who is 10 years older than me. And I don't really remember exactly what, I just remember seeing, maybe when I was about 5, so he would have been 15, and he was drawing something, and I remember seeing like what he was doing, and I was like, oh, that's cool, like, so I would start drawing, like, but nothing like that, you know, I'm 5, so stickmen and stuff, and then I would just try to draw, you know, anytime I saw something of his, I would just try to do it again and try to draw something that I wanted to do. But sometimes I would try to copy him, and then it came to some point, I don't know where it was, where I just sort of switched to drawing more like a fantasy character. I was going to draw a dragon. I'm going to draw like this dinosaur, but it's going to be my dinosaur. And I remember doing stuff like that. But the biggest hurdle for me wasn't so much the drawing's always a hurdle, but the biggest thing for me at that point was paper. Didn't have any paper to draw on.
Oh no!
Yeah, well, because like everything was
the problem.
everything was used for a purpose. Like your school book is your school book, and we didn't have like a lot of like sketch pads. I didn't have that as a kid. I didn't even know what a sketch pad was. So my dad would get his clothes dry cleaned, and his shirts would come in. They'd have this cardboard.
Yeah, right.
To keep them when they press the shirt down. So I would always get, when he got his shirts, he knew to give me the cardboard. But on the one side it was the cardboard. The other side was that glossy side. So I'd always flip it over and draw on that. But then I started, watching cartoons, and then I started going, I want to make my characters move. So I would just be on one sheet of paper or cardboard and draw stickmen, and I would. In my mind, I'm going to have characters fighting or running from each other. But in my head, if you looked at it, you would say, like, well, there's like 100 people on here. But in my mind, there's only 2. And they were just like, they're up here, then they fight, and then they go down. So yeah, it was like, I was like doing it, but in my mind, it was always like, tracking just those 2 characters. But so I was doing that at, 8 or 9 years old.
So you were born to animate.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I just always loved and it's a weird thing because even as a kid, I was just like, I didn't have the the knowledge of the mindset when I was watching a Tom and Jerry or a Bugs Bunny cartoon to go, that's an animated character drawn by somebody, and that's why it's there. Like my brain was like, I don't know what that is. All I know that it's moving around and it's a bunny or it's a cat or it's a dog and they're funny and they're doing stuff that's crazy. But it's such an ambiguous reality, right? When you're a kid, because you just don't like, what is that? What world is that, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how it gets. I had no clue how it gets done. And I remember we have like the Wonderful World of Disney would come in like on Sundays.
Yeah.
And one episode they're going to show, Walt visiting with animators. And I'm like, what's an animator? Oh, these are the guys who draw that.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, so you see like they're staged, which ironically I would end up doing, 25 years later, I'd be doing those. But I'm sitting there watching them and they're doing their thing, and I'm like, but still, it was very abstract to me.
Yeah.
And then I just sort of went from that into wanting to know more about how that drawing that they showed you in that Walt Disney thing became a colored, beautiful sound, everything. How does that happen? I still had no clue, like how they do it. Even though they were like sitting there drawing, and then they go, oh, and I'm like, okay, wow, it's moving. But anything that was going to be showing me people how they draw, I wanted to watch it. So I remember, of all things, when I was a kid, maybe I was like 12 or 13, 60 Minutes did a thing on Mad Magazine, and they had Mort Drucker on there, who I love.
Oh, yeah.
And they showed Mort Drucker drawing Sylvester Stallone, and I was like, I just loved it. Or Charles Schultz was another one. So it's just, you see a blank sheet of paper and you see a hand come in and start to create a character that I go, I've seen that, I know that character. Like when you see it being created right in front of you, you're just like, wow, like that's like he made that. That's the guy. That's the hand that does it, right? So it was just really like, I just got immersed in that. Mad Magazine, big Mad Magazine fan.
Cool.
And so as I got through high school, still didn't know. I was drawing all the time, never animated. And then it was near the end of high school, I saw something that had showed pegs and stuff, and okay, so that's how they do it. They have holes in the paper, and then they I don't know, how does it move? I just couldn't. My brain wasn't figuring out.
Mechanics wasn't coming together.
No. And then it was. So I remember getting a piece of board and putting nails in it, and those hole punch papers that you get that's already pre-punched. So I went, okay, well I'll just put a nail every 3 spots, and that'll be like what I saw on TV. Not knowing that the paper's gonna like float around in that peg, like it's gonna be like that. Not realizing they have to all be the same. And then was that's the only animation I ever played. I think we do this and we draw something and it moves and just completely still
So you
cloudy.
never did a flip book?
No.
You never did a flip book?
No, it just super cloudy for me. And so I finishing up high school. I said I want to do something in the arts. I don't know what. So I went to a career night that they had at my high school. All the local colleges, universities.
Now, this is in Canada.
This is in Canada. This is in St. Catharines, Ontario.
Okay.
Near Niagara Falls. And so I'm like, okay, I'll go to this thing, and you basically go into one of the classrooms, and the school goes, hey, we have this, we have that. You should, if you're this and you want to do this, you come here, you come to our school. And I went over and over, and I finally go into Sheridan College, and they had arts programs. I went, maybe graphic arts. It's probably graphic arts is what I want.
Yeah.
So I went in and they talked about graphic arts, blah blah blah, and then they said, okay, now we're gonna have somebody come up and talk about our animation program. And I was just like, I had no, like, what? There's animation. He said, here at Sheridan we have like a 3-year program where we teach you the art of animation, how it's done, and I'm just like, what? Wait a minute. You can go to school and learn this? I had no clue. Wow. I went, wow, okay, I want that. So I had to do a drawing test. Like they send you this thing, like you see it like in comic books where like, can you draw this character? And you have to copy it. So they gave you a drawing test like that. to see if you would be eligible.
Yeah.
So I passed that, and then now I'm sitting in class learning how to do it. Now I'm seeing there's a disc, there's the pegs, that's it. Oh, you know, and there's paper specially punched for this. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, and then they teach us that in-betweening class.
Yeah.
So then everything, I was all excited and I thought I was going to learn, and then they taught you an in-between, and I'm like, what? And it confused me because you have drawing 1, drawing 3, and then you have to do drawing, you put drawing 2 on top, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, drawing 2 has to be in the middle. Yeah, but you do this flipping thing, and I was like, oh, I can't get, like, again, I'm starting to revert back to me getting cloudy again. And so a friend that I met in school, huge Warner Brother fan, had all the old on like 8mm, 16mm, and we used to go into the flatbed and the editorial at lunchtime or in between classes and watch them. So we're watching them, and I'm like, oh, I know this cartoon, and it's beautiful because it's a print, right? It's clean print. So we're watching it, and then somebody, whoever is running it, stops it. And there was a Chuck Jones, there was a Magic Hair, where you saw the distorted drawings.
Right.
Never saw that before. So I'm like watching this thing, and at this time now I've sort of skipped around the in-between thing and did straight ahead. I figure out, oh, you can just draw 1, then draw 2, then draw 3, then draw 4, and then move. So I went, huh, I'm going to do that. So the first time I did a test was a bouncing ball, right?
Yeah, right.
And you have to send it off, and then they send it to camera, they make film, and then you have to go down to the editing bay to get your thing, and you put it on the Moviola.
Yeah.
It's 82, 83.
Yeah.
So,
Moviola.
yeah. But that's the first time I ever saw something I did move. I'm just like, oh, it's moving. Like, I made something move. I was just so, and that's just a ball, right? I was just so excited. So now I'm learning and getting better at stuff, and then I see this thing where you can make a hand go from here to here. You can do this crazy shape.
Yeah.
His face gets distorted. I'm just like going, whoa, wait a minute, what? And like they're going back and forth, and now with that thing you can go super slow. So we're just watching it. I'm just like, I didn't know you can do that. Oh, I want to do that. So our next assignment was an octopus he had to jump 3 times, step to the left, step to the right. So I made that thing, every time he stepped, it wiped over. Every time it bowed its head, it wiped down. Anything it did, I was using I did it too much. So I was like, whoa. And, I was just so hungry for it.
Yeah.
And I really was enjoying it. And this guy that I met was so into it more than me. It was perfect. He was just like my personal, like, Netflix, I could just go, what are we looking at now?
That's incredible.
So, yeah, I went and I had a bit of a bump in college because I got so excited in my second year that I did all the assignments that do 20 seconds of something, I did 25. If it said do 30, I did 40. If they said use this kind of music and this kind of music, I went, I'm going to use this kind of music and this kind of music. So I did the assignments, but I made them either bigger or I broke the rules.
My time with Mike came to a close too quickly, and we picked up our conversation a few months later over breakfast.
The guy that I met there became a very close friend. Super Warner Brother nut. Crazy. Like, he knew Warner Brother cartoons I didn't even know existed, like Coal Black and the Seven Dwarfs and all the propaganda stuff, World War II. I had no idea of any of those. I never saw them.
Huh.
Because how would I? My Warner Brothers on TV.
Yeah.
So he had 16mm of it, so we would go to the flatbed at Sheridan, load it up, and be able to watch it. But then, as you know, with that system, you can go watch it, stop it, go slow, go back, go forward. So that's where I discovered you can do these crazy stretch drawings, distorted drawings to show movement. I was like, whoa, what the hell? I didn't know you could do that. So then everything post that, my assignments I was doing that everywhere.
Stretching everywhere.
Oh yeah, like if it was just an assignment of a character jumping up and down, or you had I think one of the assignments we had to do was a octopus had to walk in, had to step right, step left, jump up and down, and then bow. That's like you had to do that as an assignment. And everything I did was wipe, why all these drawings are just like,
That's cool.
I just went crazy with it. So I was kind of sponging a lot on knowledge of how it works. So moving to the second year, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Like, let's do this. So, what's the assignment? We have to do a 20-second dialogue test of this. We do 30 seconds. Yeah, let's do it. Like, I could change it. I can make it this. I can make. And my friend, who is all like into wanting to play with the old school Warner Brothers, Tex Avery kind of animation, goes, yeah, maybe we can do this. Or maybe you could have an opening, like have like the Fred Quimby card. You could have like the lion, and I went, oh yeah. So I'm just doing all this over the top production work for a simple test that should just say my name, my class, and then here's my character talking, right? But I didn't like, no, I'm going to do all this extra work. So sometimes my assignment would come in a little late, but there'd always be 10 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever it is more than what was asked. And at the end of the year, I went into what they would call an assessment, which is basically you just go into a room, they have your reel of everything you did for the year. They have your life drawing, and all the faculty members of the animation department would be in there. And you walk in and you kind of look at Mike and say, look at your stuff. And everybody gets to look at it, and then they look at how your life drawing was and your visual language class we had. And so when one of my assignments came on, I had I think it was the Tom and Jerry. Yeah, the Tom and Jerry opening music with that ba 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 da ba 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 da. But we took that and we said, oh, maybe we could just speed it up. So it'll sound like that, but it won't be exactly that. And I'll have like I did a caricature of my friend, and I put him in that logo, like where you see the lion and stuff. I'll put his head in there. I won't animate it. I'll just put his head in there, and it'll look like the Tom and Jerry, Fred Quimby, Tex Avery world. And we'll put the music in behind to lead into my reel. And as soon as I played, the head of the department, the animation department, Tom Haley at the time, like got really uncomfortable. We're in a dark room, and you could see him get up. He's like, no, shouldn't be doing, can't have. And the other teachers are like, what? Like, because I suppose they took something that's copywritten and put it on my test, and he was afraid that I was going to jeopardize the school.
Oh,
I was going to get sued.
That's why. Okay.
So he got a little crazy with that. And mainly it was because I didn't stick by the rules. So my tests were longer and everything. So I go away in the summer, you get a paper to say, welcome to third year, blah, blah, blah. Well, mine said, you didn't pass second year. I went, what? Went to the school, found out that one of my teachers just said, I just don't think Tom liked you very much. So I go, that's why he failed me? He goes, I think so. So I go, what do I do? He goes, well, you could leave or you repeat the year. So I said, all right, I'm going to repeat the year. So I did. And I redid the assignments. I figured this is only going to make me better. It's like training again, right?
Yeah.
So I figured, okay.
Well, it's another year of your life, too.
Yeah. And when you're 20, 19, 20, I mean.
You don't care.
Yeah, you think you got 100 years ahead of you. So I'm like, well, this is okay. This is good. Let me get myself together and figure out what I want to do. So I stuck to the assignments, did them exactly as they were supposed to be done. But by then, I'd already done them once. I've already went crazy once, so I'm not going to do it again. And so when I got to the assessment thing again, same people in there, except there's a different guy running the program. But that same guy, Tom, was in there. And so I show my stuff, and this one teacher who's just he's confused. He's like, okay, wait a minute. So, this is second year? You're in second year? I go, yeah. Yeah, and he goes, I mean, it says here that you repeated? I go, yeah. Uh-huh. I can't, by looking at my work, he's like, well, I can't see why did you repeat? I mean, this stuff's, better than any stuff we've seen. So, I don't understand, why did you have to repeat? And I go, because of that man right there. And I pointed him out. And he got all uncomfortable, and because this one teacher was just going, I don't understand this. What happened? Well, Ask him.
Why didn't the other teachers do the same? That's my question.
No. They were scared because he was their boss, right? But this one teacher who taught visual language was on par, at least with age and experience, as Tom. So, and he wasn't sort of in the normal mix of the anime. He's like this side class that we would take, discovering what negative space is and how to use it. And so his teachings and stuff were a little bit more advanced, not community college level. It was more university level. So when he came into this assessment, he was just like, "What's going on here?"
That's funny. What a story.
Yeah. So I went into third year, started working on stuff again, and got inspired by, at that time, that was Great Mouse Detective was coming out. And then near the end of the year, it was like, okay, well, I think it was either that year or the second or third year, where somebody, one of the teachers said, well, how many people here want to work at a major studio? And I put my hand up, me and one other guy put a hand up in the class. Yeah. Everybody else wanted to work at a commercial place in Toronto, or they wanted to work at TV, Nelvana, or make their own film. Yeah. There wasn't this need to work for like a big company like Disney or. It's kind of.
You think it was the opposite?
No, but
even back then,
Sheridan promotes itself to make you make a movie and try to finish it, and put it in festivals because it helps Sheridan. Because they'll say produced, at Sheridan right. College. So I think the mentality of the people that came into the program, there were a lot of people coming from, I want to make my own film, I want to go to NFB, I want to make a film for them, and Canada. Meanwhile, I was just going, no, I'm America. I want to work for a big company. And right now, the only big company that's sort of trying to do it, or at least surviving to do it, Mrs. 85, 86, is Disney. Thank you.
Was Bluth out by that time?
Bluth was out second year, yeah. He was, because a bunch of guys, Ken Duncan being one of them, was a year ahead of me. And a bunch of guys left because Bluth was looking for artists. So a bunch of them left and went to Ireland to work at Bluth.
So it ended up being a very...
Oh, you went there too? Did you go there?
No. I was thinking about it, but there was always a camp of like people that were like people that loved Bluth at school, and then there was people that didn't. And I wasn't necessarily the one that didn't like it. I just thought the animation, because there was a whole Don Bluth had his own philosophy on how you do lip sync and mouth shapes and round and when it came out, it was just sort of like, nah. But some people just dove into it, loved it, and then went. When they went looking, a bunch of them took off and left school early. I was just like, no, I'm not, I don't want to do that.
Anyway.
So I just sort of hung out, more or less hanging out, looking, not really knowing what was going to happen at the end of my third year, but assuming that I was going to be working in Toronto somewhere. So near the end of the year, school from New York Institute of Technology, well, they came up years before and trying to look for people to come work at their school, be a student / work on a film. So they came up and they looked at a bunch of us in third year, and so me, Brian Ferguson, about 4 or 5 others were asked to go down to Long Island to go to school there and work on this film on the side, and payment would be a full scholarship. So they'd give you a full scholarship to get your BFA. You wouldn't, your room and board, everything would be taken care of, and they would give you money per month, it worked out to be like $900 or just under $1,000. It's all tax free though, right? It's a student loan or a student stipend. So we're like a bunch of Canadians in Long Island, deep in America, with $1,000 in our pocket with no responsibilities each month.
And animation in front of you.
And animation in front of us, and we had to go to classes. And so the classes became a burden. Like, oh, I gotta go to class. I came here to work, I've already been to school.
Yeah.
But some people got into it, really enjoyed it. I went, I left there, I guess, after about 2 years. Because I started to realize, okay, I need to get in the animation industry. Nobody knows I exist.
Yeah.
I just don't, I'm just not on the radar. Great Mouse had already come out. Little Mermaid had come out, or Roger Rabbit. I can't remember which was first, but those two were kind of close to each other, and I was like, okay, I want to be a part of that. This is sort of a little bit of BS kind of work. Like, we're kind of students, but we're not. And they want us to work on this film, but they don't really know how to make it. Because it's been something it's called Strawberry Fields forever, which is Michael Jackson had all the rights to the Beatle music, and so he was going to get artists to cover the Beatles songs, and it would be a story about a character going through meeting the tax man, and they had some great covers of all the songs from the Beatles, and there's going to be a CG 2D combo. So it's Computer Graphics Lab in CG in Westbury, New York, where Ed Catmull was. But Ed Catmull had already left long before we got there. But so they were trying to make this, but it just didn't seem like it was going to go anywhere. And I was young enough and to know that my daughter was born. I'm like, okay, well, I got a green card. I have a daughter, and I'm making $1,000 a month, and now I can't live on campus, so I need to pay rent.
Right.
So now it's like, okay, I need to work somewhere. Send my portfolio to Australia Disney, Florida Disney, here Disney, Universal in London. They were doing American Tail 2. I can't remember somewhere else. Australia said yes, but they were still had to work out visa stuff. Florida said no. LA said no. And I got a call from Bill Matthews, who ran the program at Feature Animation, and called me and says, "Hey, Mike, it's Bill Matthews from Feature Animation here at Walt Disney Studios." And I went, "Oh, wow, hey, Bill." He goes, "Hey, well, we just took a look at your stuff, and it just turns out you just don't have it, kid." I went, "What?" He goes, "You just don't have it. I don't know, that little movie you had in there, The Boxer, you might want to maybe finish that and show it to us again when you get that done. But, thanks a lot." And I was like, I don't have it. What does that mean, I don't have it?
Yes, we're ending this episode with a cliffhanger. But you know the rest of the story. And next week, Mike will continue that story to tell us how he finally got into Disney. But once he got inside, the challenges he faced continued. And looking ahead, we'll be talking with maritime painter John Stobart. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Shaffer Creative Podcast. You'll find the show notes and more information about Shaffer Creative at shaffercreative.studio. And don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/Shaffer Creative. Music is by Lee Rosevear.